What up, you little goobers, and welcome to the Week 2 Meta Report for patch 14.1. Now, when we started this patch last week, there was a lot of, it was like very forecast heavy, right? Everybody was playing TF, everybody was playing Karthus. Now people are still playing those comps. Those comps are still great. And then there were a lot of people still playing AD Flex from last patch. And now moving into Week 2, I guess it started a few days ago. Really, the meta started to solidify that we're actually in a reroll meta, with a few forecast comps that are also performing well, which is like disco comps and pentacle variations. That's not to say legendaries aren't super great. Ziggs is amazing. That's one reason why the TF comp is so good. The cap for it is so high. But anytime rerolling is strong, it's just going to be a little bit easier to reroll. So most of the comps we're going to go through today are going to be reroll comps with a couple of forecast comps in here that you guys can play as well. So first up, I'm going to show, and this is in no order of strength. I just want to show you some lines that you guys can play. First up is the Jazz reroll comp. Now, there are two versions of this comp, and I am not a believer in one. So there are two versions. There is Bard primary with Kaisa secondary, which is very interesting to me. I've tried it a few times. I'm not a huge fan, unless you're high rolling. And then there's MF primary with Kaisa secondary. Is the two variations that we have going on right now. And if you want to play this comp, usually you play it from a super fan opener and a lot of 80 item drops, or you get an early Bard chosen if you want to play the Bard variation. And things like Cybernetic Bulk are very strong in this comp because we are playing KDAs and KDA scales off this, and so does Jazz. Misconnection is very good in this comp because if you missed your Kennen 2 or your Lilia 2, just getting that for free on 3-2 can be quite nice. It can help you stabilize. And then That's Jazz Baby is obviously the best augment in this build. There are other pretty strong augments for this comp as well. But yeah, I really like this comp. It's you roll for this comp on 3-2. Obviously, this is 7 units here, but we'll roll for this comp. And usually you want to look for Misfortune Jazz or Misfortune Big Shot, and that can kind of change how you go. Jazz is the best chosen. And then again, if you want to play the Bard variation, I personally only recommend playing Bard whenever you get a very early Bard chosen. And you have some items to play them, then I think it's pretty good. And then you can duo or trio carry your backline. But other than that, I usually look to primary Misfortune. Personally, I think that's the best. So on itemization, Misfortune's superfan item is Deathblade, so that's why it's here. But I actually think her best in slot on this patch is probably Giant Slayer and Infinity Edge, and then plus your superfan item. You can still go like Rageblade and Runans. Like Rageblade Runans is like a really, it's really good for stabilizing. But I think GS is very important on this patch with all the other rerollers. You need help chewing through the Amumu 3s, chewing through the Riven 3s, and that sort of thing. And then Kaisa, if you want to main carry her, IE is very strong on her with GS. And then I like a blue buff here. And then we'll put our Even Shroud on the front line. For some reason, I didn't put it there. But we'll put our Even Shroud there. If not, if you don't have an Even Shroud, you need to build a Last Whisper on one of these two, and you'll be good to go. And then if you're Bard primary, you're going to do double Adaptive. Adaptive is his superfan item if he is chosen. And then Death Cap is very good. You can also play Morello here. It's very strong on him as well. But if you're primarying him, I personally just like this and just putting Sunfire on my front line and call it a day. You know, you can't Morello the back line when you do that, but I just like this. I like this for the one-shot potential here. Anyways, here is the Jazz comp. Roll for this on 3-2 and then push 7. If you don't have Bard chosen, his 3-star doesn't matter and you don't itemize him. By the way, if Bard is chosen, you look for all of these 3 stars. And then if Misfortune is chosen, you only look for Misfortune, Kaisa, and Nico. All right, cool. Next up, and this is my favorite comp to play on this patch. I'm kind of one-tricking this comp right now. 1, because I think it's strong. 2, I think it's just really relaxing. And if I'm getting tilted, I'll just take I'll just play this and place anywhere from 3rd to 6th every single game if I one-trick this. And that's pretty relaxing to me sometimes. So anyways, this is the Seraphine Lulu reroll composition. And this, again, is a comp we'll play when we have a superfan opener with some AP items. And we will roll for this comp on 3-2 minus the Ari. And this is the comp we're looking for. We are looking for either Seraphine chosen or Lulu chosen. You can primary Lulu or Seraphine. Either versions of Lulu, either versions of Seraphine primary are perfectly fine. I like playing both. And in terms of augment, health-based augments are very good in this comp, again, because KDA scales off HP. Raise the tempo is very, very strong, even if it doesn't perform super well in the data. We'll talk about that in a minute. It helps your one-shot potential. And then Jeweled Lotus is very strong, helps your one-shot potential a lot. So anyways, this is the setup. Pretty simple KDA superfan setup. This is like probably the easiest comp in the game to play. And our win condition is going to be 3-star Lulu, 3-star Seraphine, 3-star Nico, and a 2-star Ari. You have a triple threat comp on level 7. That's something I really like about this comp. And also what I really like about this comp is you can roll on 6 and you can roll on 7 and it doesn't feel bad. So if you need to blow your load on 6, it doesn't feel that bad. So that's why I really like it. So let's talk about itemization, because I'm sure some of you guys are looking at my Seraphine items and are like, actually, I see everybody build Morello and the data says that this and the data, so the data. Let's talk about this. So if you ever look at data on healing reduction items, it can skew data very poorly because you can't exclude, unless you exclude this, but normally when people look at that data, they don't exclude the fact of if you don't have a Morello at all in your team, then that definitely affects your placement really poorly. Like if you don't have healing reduction in this meta, like you can't play the game. So if you look at like units like TF, his like best performing item might be Morello, but that's because you need Morello in that comp. It's not necessarily because the Morello has to go on him. And so that's the same way I feel about Seraphine in this comp. Morello is a very good item on Seraphine, but I usually like to have my healing reduction on my secondary carry or on one of my tanks. And that is because you get a lot of value with Seraphine with the one-shot threat, with the one-shot potential, especially with Raise the Tempo, helps your one-shot threat. And you will save a lot of HP by just full-on one-shotting on second cast with Seraphine, which sometimes if you go Morello, you've healing reduced them with the first cast, but if you cast somewhere else the next time, you just don't kill. You don't have that one-shot potential, and you actually lose a lot of HP in matchups where you maybe would have won, or would have just taken a much better loss by getting that one shot early on in the fight onto their primary carry or their secondary carry or what have you. So that is why I really like Sojin. Deathcap is her super fan item. She's chosen. And Jeweled Gauntlet. That's the setup I really like for her. And again, it just helps my one-shot potential. Now, why Sojin instead of Adaptive? It's because she attacks very fast, Seraphine does, because you're going to put a Lulu right next to her and she'll get the Hyper Pop procs. And so this is very good. Okay, and now Lulu, if Lulu is your secondary carry, I just like putting an Adaptive Helm on her plus a Giant Slayer. This helps you a lot in the matchup against Yone and Riven reroll. This helps you out a lot. She'll CC them down, and if you get her 3-star, she'll chunk them very hard, then Seraphine finishes them off. Same thing with Ari. Once you get an Ari on your comp, I really like blue buff Giant Slayer +1. Again, it's just to help you with the Yone and the Riven matchup. This helps you out a lot in that matchup because Seraphine can struggle one-shotting them, but if you're CCing them and your Giant Slayer chipping them down, then Seraphine can get the one-shot after that. And then Nico is going to be our main tank. So Nico is the other 3-star we look for. The reason we look for Nico 3-star over Echo, now you can hold the Echoes, but it's very unlikely you 3-star Echo. Echo is such a contested unit, and Nico is hardly ever contested unless there's other people playing this same line as you, or there's a Jazz reroll player in the game. So it's usually pretty easy to hit this Nico. Now, do we ever go late 8 on this comp? You can, but generally what's most important is 3 stars. So this comp stabilizes really hard on 3-2, on 2 stars on level 6. It's very stable, and honestly, it's pretty stable, like surprisingly stable on stage 4 on 2 stars and an Ari on level 7. It's actually pretty stable in a lot of matchups, but it is a lot stronger. You really do want to get your 3 stars on one of your 3 stars somewhere between like 4-1 and 4-5. Get something. Usually you can hit your Seraphine by then, and then look for your Lulu and your Nico. Is going to be your highest cap. Now, occasionally, if you're on a portal where you get a bunch of items and you have a bunch of 80 items, you can cap on 5 KDA with Akali here. If you are KDA chosen, you will already be 5 KDA, and then so you can level for a random Gragas or a Sona, and you can play that if you want to go to 8. And then if you get Lulu chosen, then you're just going to be, you can, if she's Spellweaver or Hyperpop, either way, you can add a Spellweaver or you can add a KDA on 8 if you would like to do that. And that KDA is going to be Akali. Anyways, I love playing that comp. It is very good. Okay, next up is the Twin Terror comp. And this is my least favorite comp to play in the game because as much as I like playing this because it's relaxing and stuff, I don't feel the same way about this comp. I don't know why. It just feels very degenerate to me. This is the comp you play if you have Twin Terror offered, especially if you have Twin Terror offered and you have like a glove and a sword. Like if you have a glove and a sword, you have Twin Terror offer, you take this, it's a guaranteed top 4. And generally you're just going to play a weak early game and then roll for this comp on 3-2. Now, this is a Twin Terror. And how many do I have here? I have 7 units. So whenever you roll for this, you're going to roll on 6 for your Twitch chosen, Punk or Executioner, doesn't really matter. And then roll for this same comp right here. And what you're going to put on your board on 6 is 2 Twitch, 2 Vex, and then 1 Pantheon and 1 Amumu. And then you're going to roll. You can stay on 6 if you need to, but generally you can go 7 and then roll for all of your 3 stars. But you can just straight up roll for the Twitch if you really need the tempo there on 6. But if you have a decent amount of HP, you feel strong, go 7 and then slow roll. And then we're going to roll it down, and we're looking for Vex 3, Twitch 3, Pantheon 3, Amumu 3. And then this is what our in-game comp will look like. We're probably never going 8. Probably just stay on 7 like this. But if you're Executioner chosen, you end up hitting all of your 3 stars. The most important ones are going to be Twitch, Vex, and Amumu. Pantheon is less important. And then we will go, if you do hit all that, go to 8 and add your Executioner or add your Punk, whatever you're missing there. But a lot of times you can just get a spat at the end of the game. No one wants a punk spat or whatever. And augments, Vampirism is great. Like getting free healing reduction or free healing is great in this comp. So you don't have to build it. And then I suppose weakness is also broken here. But yeah, just general combat augments are going to be good for you. Twitch itemization, you always want to go IE. It just guarantees that his spell will pop all the things every time, even though you're playing Executioner. It's just good to guarantee that. Giant Slayer is very strong in this meta with all the other 3 stars running around. And then +1 after that. If you don't have healing reduction on Vex, then red buff is amazing on this one. And if you don't have Even Shroud up here, then you can go Last Whisper here. Or you could just go more damage, go Deathblade, whatever. That's going to be fine as well. You can go double IE. Screw it. Let's do it. Guardbreaker, great. On Vex, I really like blue buff just for the initial burst cast to get the cast off really early on into the fight. So I really like blue buff plus Morello combo. I think it's very strong. But you can just go full damage here as well if you'd like, just full one-shot potential. Cool. And then you'll itemize your Amumu. And then if you get extra items, you can itemize another Vex or another Twitch. You'll be good to go. This comp is very easy. Very good. Cool. Next up, we have, this is like the AD flex board. So I just wanted to show that if you guys want to play 4 cost, let's say you get like a Yone or a Ribbon opener, and you just notice that like everybody's playing Edgelord reroll, and you just don't want to be a part of that, and you're just gonna go, okay, I'll go to 8 and I'll roll for the Pentacle comp. And so whenever you roll on 8, you can look for any of these carries. Viego chosen is gonna be your best one, Pentakill or Edgelord. It kind of changes your comp a little bit. Like you'll drop KO if you have Edgelord and then do the thing. But if you get Pentakill, then this is your comp pretty much. And then you have a 1 extra slot. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, you don't have an extra slot here, but it'll put you at 5 Pentakill if it's Pentakill chosen. So you could take any of these chosens, Viego chosen, Zed chosen, or Akali chosen. It's like the frontline 80 flex. Now, if you have Karthus items, you can obviously take Karthus chosen. Pentakill is the better one, but you can totally make Executioner work. It just gets a little weird. You add some Executioners in here, it gets a little strange. But anyways, the base of this comp is going to be the same: Echo, Mordekaiser, Kayle, Viego, and then just whatever chosen you hit is going to be the one you itemize. And I'm just showing some items that are good on all these carries. So Viego is great. I really like this setup on Viego, but you can go more damage oriented, or you can build red buff, you can build QSS. I think QSS is very strong in this meta with all the Namis and stuff running around that stay on people's comps even in the end game. Zed, I really like this item setup on Zed, QSS, Hodge, IE, and then Akali, KDA Akali. I like this setup a lot. Red buff, IE, Hodge, and then Karthus. I think this is Biss on Karthus. This is Archangel, Guardbreaker, and Adaptive Film. Thinks it's very strong. So this is kind of like the 80 flex board. Look for any of those in GG. And then this gives you a lot of tempo. Go 9, cap with like, legendaries and that sort of thing. You'd be good to go. In these comps, when you play these 80 flex comps, like Idealism, Not Today is going to be great. And then any extra healing is always going to be great in these comps. I really like Vampirism. Just makes Karthus heal to full, which is very cool as well. Cool. All right, next up is going to be the TF comp, and I actually have a separate guide on this. I made it on the first day of the patch, but I probably just go through everything you need to know here. And so I am showing the cheap version of the comp. This is what your level 8 can look like if you have the cheap version. So this is a comp that you play whenever you have like the Disco Nami opener, or you have like a Super Fan opener, you have like a strong AP opener, and you're building like the items like Sojin, Chiv, Morello, that sort of thing. And when we're rolling for this comp, we're going to be looking for TF chosen, either one, Dazzler or Disco. And then we're going to be looking for Blitz, preferably Disco chosen, like strongly preferably Disco chosen, but you can play Sentinel and you can do a little bit differently. But we really want to get to our 5 Disco breakpoint. And if we can get Disco chosen, then we don't have to play Tarek to get to our 5 Disco. And that's very nice. Because 5 Disco is very, very strong. And we can drop this later on in the game, even if we don't have Disco chosen. But Disco chosen is very good. Okay, so this is the cheap base of the comp. We have all of our Disco units, and then we have Lulu and Echo that gives us Spellweaver here with our Gragas. And this can stabilize you quite strong if you have a 2-star TF and you upgrade the rest of the comp. So this isn't actually a comp that you could just like full loss streak into and just expect to win out. It's not that OP. Like some people will tell you like, man, it's so OP. Like this TF comp is, but it's really not one of those comps that you can just loss streak the whole game, blow your load, hit the comp, and then GG. Because you actually need to hit TF2, Blitz and Blitz 2 and all of your supporting units or you need a TF2, a Blitzcrank 2, and like an Alawi 1 on your board, and like a Ziggs 1 to truly stabilize on like a 4-2 roll down. So here's a cheap version of the comp. And then if you want to make it more expensive, what you're going to cap on is your Lulu is going to turn into a Sona. If this is Dazzle chosen, you add a Ziggs. Set comes out for Alawi. You can sometimes play a random Kiana, and then Tarek is a flex spot. And once you have the Sona in your comp, once you go 9 and you have a Sona in your comp and that stuff, Disco is a lot less important. So you can end up dropping Disco. Just later on in the game, Disco is a lot less important. So you could drop for the 5 Disco because the Sona is going to give your dude so much attack speed. You can play Sona attack speed carry, or you can play Sona damage carry if your front line is huge. But yeah, you generally just want to upgrade to legendaries, Alawi, Sona, Ziggs, Kiana, and you'll be good to go. This is what the base level 8 comp looks like though. Okay, next up is going to be Olaf reroll. This is if you get Bruiser Olaf chosen. If you get Pentakill Olaf chosen, it's a lot harder to make this work. So usually if you get Pentakill chosen, you just play tempo with it. But if you get Bruiser chosen, you think you go for the 3-star, it can be very strong. Anyways, this is just a 6 Bruiser comp, 3 Pentakill, and we play Sona. GG, we're good to go. This is what the level 9 looks like. So usually when you play Olaf, you want to hit an early Olaf 3. Usually just when you play 1-cost reroll comps, you play them because you're going to hit it for free. So like, for example, I put an Olaf reroll game the other day because I had I naturaled 5 Olafs. And so I just forced the Olaf chosen, and then I got an Olaf 3 immediately. So that made that really easy. And so you just get the Olaf, and then you get the 6 Bruiser in as quick as possible and 3 Pentakill. And then your cap is going to be on Sona. And then you can just play random AP backliner. It's really nice to be able to get Pentakill in. It's very, very, very good for tempo. And then Sona's your cap on 9. But obviously you gotta go to 9 to play all this stuff. And then you can play the Sentinels, Mordekaiser and Echo. Sentinels comboed with Bruisers. Very, 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 very strong. So our win condition here is going to be tempoing with Olaf, and then Karthus can take us home a little bit, and then Sona really takes us home. Okay, so on Olaf, we're going to go Titans, Sterex. And so like Gargantuan's super good in this comp. Vampirism is great in this comp, like extra HP, it stacks more HP, the Bruiser trait does. Too Big to Fail is amazing in this comp. And then Partial Ascension is very good in this comp. There's some other ones that are good as well. But anyways, yeah, we're just going to carry our Olaf, and then Sona helps carry us later. Play attack speed, Sona. GG. Okay, next up is going to be Country Reroll. And Country Reroll is very, very, very strong, guys. This is the level 7 comp. This is going to be a comp that you'll roll for on 4-1 usually. But you can roll for this maybe on 4-2 as well, or on 3-2 as well in level 6. You can sometimes hit, but generally you want to roll below your roll on 4-1 for this whole comp. But anyways, so this is going to be a Samira primary with a Urgot and Vex secondary carries. Augments in this comp, 3's a crowded, it's great. Harmless is great. And then any augment that helps guarantee your 3 stars is going to be good in this comp. 3 stars are what's most important in this. And we can look for Samira, Urgot, Vex, and Amumu it's probably Samira, Amumu are the most important ones actually. But Samira, Urgot, Vex, and Amumu are super important. And then Set is less important, but if you can hit it, then that is going to be very good for you. Okay, so you can take either Country or Executioner Chosen. If you get Executioner Chosen, whenever you level, you can add a little dude here, or you can even drop, you can do some other stuff. You can. There's like some builds going around right now where you play like 6 Executioner. I'm not super sure about that one. People are playing that with the Twitch reroll as well. But for now, just play the 5 Country, and then maybe you can try to dip into 4 and 6 Executioner. It actually does really well in the data. So anyways, yeah, pretty simple comp, guys. We're going to play IEGS on Samira. That is going to be BIS on this patch, and then +1. I really like having a healing augment in this, so you don't have to build healing. Helps you in the like Akali Karthus matchup. I think it's very hard to build healing on Samira. You need just more damage. Rage Blade is fine. Red buff is honestly acceptable, but red buff is a little bit better on Urgot. As far as Urgot items go, I really like red buff, Sterax +1. I think is very, very, very strong. Red buff just, he has a lot of AoE, and then red buff gives him a lot of attack speed, which scales his damage. And then Vex, I really like adaptive, Rabadon, and Guardbreaker. I think that's probably BIS, but if you want that really early cast like we talked about earlier, then you can put a blue buff here as well. Put an Even Shroud up on your Amumu. If you don't have an Even Shroud there, it's Last Whisper down here, and you're good to go. Amumu will have your main tank items. Pretty simple. Okay, next up is going to be the Edgelord base comp. So this one is Yone base. And so last patch, BIS on Yone was Infinity Edge, Hand of Justice in Titans, and maybe that still performs the best. I'm not sure. Also, Gargantuan is very good on this patch, like Titans, Hodge is very good. I think Yone's items are pretty flexible, but I actually really like QSS on this patch. Again, I think this patch is very, very, very CC. Like very CC heavy, especially with all the frontline carries running around. So I really like QSS. Also, when you build QSS, it helps you flex a little bit easier between Riven and Yone. because Riven really needs QSS on her comp. I think it's very, very strong for her. It just helps her run people over. Same idea with Yone. I think you can just run people over. So here is the base that you'll play every game when you're looking for Yone. Yone main carry, play KO, Mordekaiser, Sentinel here, but usually it's nice to just hold Garen because you can flex whether you're going to play Riven or not. And if you get Edgelord chosen, you'll add a Riven here, and then you can have 8-bit GG. And if you can get extra items for it. And then you're always going to play Viego, and then we'll always play Zed as well for our Crowd Diver. So if it's Crowd Diver chosen, we just add another Crowd Diver here. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So if it's Crowd Diver chosen, we just add another Crowd Diver for 4. If it is Edgelord chosen, we just add another Edgelord, which is going to be Riven or a Kayn right here to hit our 5 Edgelord. We roll for this on 7. You can roll for this comp on 6 if you really need to hit and you really need to roll at that time. But we'll be slow rolling on 7 for 3 stars. We want to look for 3-star Yone. And 3-star Mordekaiser can be really nice as well to stay alive. And then if we're duo carrying Riven, look for a 3-star Riven as well. If you end up hitting our early Yone 2-star and you are pretty healthy, you can go 8 and you can end up duo carrying Zed. And then so you could just go 8 and slow roll on 8 or roll it down for the Zed 2. And then you can get a little bit more fancy with your comp, maybe hit Kiana or something like that. So that's another way that you can play this comp as well. You don't have to stay on 7 because you're really only looking for 1 or 2 3-stars here. And then if you play Zed, you just play the same itemization on Zed as well. I really like Red Buff and Edge of Night on Viego. He can just apply on the whole team multiple times with Edge of Night. I really like it. Okay, again, here is the Riven comp. It is the same as the other one. Pretty simple, right? You use the same base, exactly the same. And if it is Edgelord chosen, then we will play Yone and Zed usually here. If it is 8-bit chosen, then we will play a Caitlyn. It's Caitlyn +1. Where's Caitlyn? 8-bit chosen. It is Caitlyn down here. And then we could just play whatever we'd like down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could play a rapid fire down here. We could play another Edgelord. We could do whatever we wanted to. Pretty simple, guys. It's exactly the same as the last board. We just put the items on Riven. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for the comps list. I hope you guys learned from this video, and I hope you guys will climb a lot of LP. I enjoyed this patch for the most part. I really need a break. I might take a break from streaming today or tomorrow. I really wanted to stream every day in January, but I think I just need a couple days off from playing. But anyways, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.